Welcome, Joanna Hunter. It is so wonderful to be finally talking to you. I feel like I already know you because I've read two of your books already, Get Selfish and My $1 Million Experiment. And reading the My $1 Million Experiment has prompted me to join My $1 Million Experiment. And my mom and I have also joined Heal Your Abundance. So yeah, over to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Really excited to have this chat with you, Lauren. I set intention for $1 million year. And when I set intention for something, I like to get into this energy that I call a leaf on the river of life. So if you can imagine a lovely little cupped leaf sitting on the surface of a river, and the instinct when you say, hey, I want to do $1 million year, is for your human to step forward and go, right, here's what we need to do. And it starts with a to-do list, right? And I call that humaning your way forward, right? Like you're using your human. I do not work like that because I work through the divine first. So what I do is I say to my human, we love you, we love your input, but sit down. It's okay. We're going to trust, we're going to breathe, and we're going to find the way through the divine. So I tell that human part of me to stop fixing, stop trying, because we are a creator, we are a conduit for divine energy. And so we don't need to be the one to fix it. The divine has already got us. So we lean into that deep channel of trust, and I lean into that channel of trust. And I say, okay, I am but a leaf on the river of life. Direct me, show me where, because the river has to flow, right? The river has to flow. Now I've told the river where it's going. We said seven figures. The river wants it for me too. The river wants to take me to the seven figures. So the leaf, I'm just sitting, I'm just along for the ride now. And so the next thing, I had a client who was just having a really bad day. And you know that times where you're like super grumpy and you're like, meh, 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 and everything's like, meh, 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 like that. She was just having a day like that. So I was holding space for her and I was speaking to her. And when I'm in session with clients, I channel. So I am that leaf on the river. So what was coming through? So what came through was this reminder of a book that I had began to write 8 years prior. In fact, I began writing that book before I wrote Get Selfish. And so that's what came through my channel. So I said to my client, go run and get a dollar, because she was in the US. Let's go run and get a dollar. Have you got a dollar? She says, yeah, I've got a dollar. And I said, okay, go and run and get a dollar and come back to me. And I said, hold that dollar in your hand and tell me how far you think if we took that dollar and we bought something for $1, sold it for two, bought something for $2, sold it for four, bought something for $4, sold it for eight, and you kept doing that, how many times do you think you would need to do that? So she was having a bad day. She was like, I don't know, probably like 800,000 or something like that. It was like really big number. I was like, come on now, come on, get with the program. Let's be serious. So she was like, I don't know, about 400 or something. And I said, would it surprise you that it's only 20 steps, that you only need to do that 20 times? And while sitting there right now with that dollar in your hand, that you are literally just 20 steps away from becoming a legit millionaire. And of course, like most people, it blows people's minds. They're like, what? How? Oh my God, so they have this moment of like, holy moly, because it suddenly puts being a millionaire in your ballpark. Because so many people have this idea that it's such a faraway goal. And then suddenly they're like, hey, it's 20 steps. And buying something for $1, selling it for two, most people are like, hey, I can do that. And we're just duplicating it again and again and again, right? So after the call, I thought, I wonder if I still got in the doldrums of my hard drive. I wonder if I still got the remnants of this book that I had begun writing. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that I'd written 22,000 words for this book. So I read it. It's funny when you discover your own work years later, because you're like, holy moly, this is such good stuff. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And that night I printed out the manuscript and I held the manuscript in my hand and I went to bed and I sat on the edge of my bed and I said, dear divine, show me what I can do with this. Show me. Because I realized that 8 years prior, I didn't have an online business. I hadn't built an audience. I hadn't retired my husband. I didn't have a team to support me. And I realized that this 8 years, I had been maturing into someone who could hold space for this work that had poured through me 8 years prior. And so I was like, show me what to do with this. And so I went to bed. And in the morning, I woke up, and before I hit my second foot on the ground, this huge download just came in. This massive download. I knew what the branding would look like. I knew the name, My $1,000,000 Experiment. I knew what it would contain. I knew that it would be 52 podcast episodes with millionaires. I knew that it would have 52 lab notes. I knew that the book would be central to the whole thing, and I would have to finish writing the book. And everything just came through. And then the price came through, which really threw me. $25 for a whole year. Now, I was a woman that was selling programs at $2,000, $3,000. So to have a program come through me at $25 for a whole year, and I never do anything by half measures. I am a go big or go home lady. I deliver. And I was like, I don't know if I can hold space for this. I don't know if the energetic exchange is going to feel good for me. And I would never deliver anything that I felt out of integrity with. So I said, well, am I going to have to sit with this? And they were like, yeah, and we want you to offer a 50% affiliate fee for anyone that comes in. At this point in time, I'm like, please, somebody, please pass me a brown paper bag so that I can breathe a little bit, right? Because I'm all about valuing oneself and valuing your work. And I'm like, holy moly. So I sat with it and I thought, well, you wanted this work out in the world. And I was like, yeah, that is true. And this would definitely do it. And I was like, okay. And I started playing with the numbers. And I said, well, what if 50 people join? And I realized my energy didn't feel good at that. As I went through the months, in the beginning months, it felt great. But as I went through the months and got to the end of the year, and remember, you've got to hold space. If you're committing to hold space for a year for a person, you have got to feel squeaky clean in your energy right towards the end as well, right? You've got to feel as squeaky clean at the end as you did at the beginning. It's very easy to feel full of the joys of life at the beginning. The last thing you want to do is get to the end of a container and really feel like, F my life. That is the last energy that you want. You do not want to feel that energy because it means that you're out of integrity with yourself and that you're over delivering. And now you're maybe in people pleaser mode. So I was like, nope, that is not how we roll. That is not how we run. So I sat with it and I kept playing with the numbers. And the number I got was 200. And I thought, okay, if 200 people join me for this, I will be good. It will be good. And so I looked at my list, which was at the time 2,500 people. And I thought, surely, and out of 2,500 people, 200 people want to come and play with me in this energy. And this will be a vibe. And this will be my 7-figure year. So I'm doing it alongside them. And they're going to learn from me as I do it. And they're hopefully going to do it too. So I was excited. Then we were a go for launch. And I gave Spirit one extra thing. I said, there was this woman who had worked for me and she'd actually quit working for me because I never gave her enough work to do. So it's really the type of employee that you really, really want, right? Somebody who's very honest, just a really, really all-round good person. So I said to Spirit, I said, if I could get her to help me with this, then it is all systems go. I gave her a phone and the first thing she did was sort of complain about the work that she was in. And she said that her boss was trying to really, really micromanage her. And she's just a person that you don't micromanage. You literally give the task to and watch her go. So I was like, oh, that's not probably going down so well. So the next thing, we meet in Edinburgh and she has a look at the manuscript and it was like, this is absolute genius. Oh my God, this is crazy. And to think that you're only 20 steps away from being a millionaire, oh my God. So she got really excited about it and that got me really excited about it. So the whole of 2020, we planned it out. And then in August 20th, we did an internal launch just to our list. And then on the 1st of September, we did the official launch. And we were off to the races. And then I did a rather embarrassing video when we reached 600 participants. It was proper like Gwyneth Paltrow, crying, thanking everybody, like my primary school teacher, the doctor who birthed me, whatever. Like, oh my God, it's just a whole hot mess. Anyway, it shall go down in history as what we call the Gwenny video from Gwyneth Paltrow at the Oscars. It was like that. The only thing I was missing was the big pink dress. But the universe wasn't done with us. 31st of December at midnight, that was the cutoff point that you could join. And we got to the 1st of January. We woke up to over 50 messages. Please, please, please let us join. Please, please, please let us join. All these messages. And then my husband was like, Joanna, I really, really think that you need to speak with Skylar and see what are we going to do here? But I'm about being in integrity. So I'm not one of these entrepreneurs that says like, hey, the cart's closing on such and such a day. And then like, haha, no, it's not. I hate that. That is not a vibe for me. So I was like, oh God, what will I do? So I tuned in and I sat in meditation. And then Skylar reminded me that week 1 didn't actually technically start. The first 3 days of January were actually still in week 52 of the previous year. And that week 1 didn't actually start till the 4th of January. So I said, okay, well, we'll open the cart for 3 more days. And in those 3 more days, 2,300 participants joined us. And we ended up at a total of 4,300 participants and some change. It was absolutely incredible. And nothing would have prepared me for what happened next of the year unfolding. So not only was it my $1 million year, we had so many people jump into our bigger programs just by being in the $1 million experiment, which was great because so many people find their way to me that I've been able to help and support. And many of those entrepreneurs have gone on to becoming, so many new businesses have been birthed as a result of the $1 million experiment, which was amazing. But we also had a hand in creating 15 millionaires that year. So 1 in every 287 participants hit the $1 million goal. On the honor roll that year, we celebrated over 105 people who had stepped forward. And these were just people who had stepped forward and says, hey, I would love it if you could celebrate me for this. And so we had all different things. We had people at 500,000. We had people at 300,000. We had people at 250,000. We had people at their first 6-figure year. We had so many incredible results that weren't the $1 million results, but equally incredible and amazing. And then we had some results that nobody expected. We had one woman who in the July of the experiment, so the experiment has been going for 7 months, and she actually messaged me from the hospital car park to say that her consultant had just removed her off the organ transplant list. She had healed her body to such a degree that she no longer required an organ transplant, and the doctor couldn't even believe what had happened. He was just like, I don't know what to say, but just have a long and prosperous and healthy life and enjoy your life. You're healed. Your body has healed itself. And she said to me, I didn't apply your teachings to money and I haven't made $1 million, but I feel like I got something even better because I applied your teachings to my health and I've got something that money couldn't buy. And just knowing that I've been part of somebody's journey, and this woman is a mama, and I think she's actually even a grandmother now, and knowing that that family is being touched by that forevermore is just, it's beyond words. It's beyond words. It's my reason for being and my reason for getting up in the morning and doing the work that I do. When you hear results like that, when equally for some people, the money is life-changing, and for some people, the health is life-changing. And for some people, they told us their relationships healed.
So amazing. And one of the things that really interested me in one of the podcasts I listened to, you said that you interviewed so many people, the 52 millionaires, and you found that there were two kind of camps. There were the millionaires who were hustling for it, and the millionaires who were doing it in ease, joy, and flow. And you were once the hustler, and now you've learned how to create the millions in ease, joy, and flow. So I'm really interested in that aspect as well, because I'm done hustling.
I love that. I used to be very, very proud of my hustle back in the day when I had my brick and mortar businesses. Really, really. And anybody that didn't hustle, my own judgment of them was very much like they're a bit of a loser, you know, like this is where it's at. You got to go and get some. And it was very masculine energy, very, very masculine energy, of course, living so out of sync as a woman and living so out of sync to feminine energy as well. No wonder I burnt out. No wonder I burnt my candle at both ends and in the middle, and then wondered why there was no energy left. And so nowadays I have a very different idea of life. And I have a saying in my business and in my life, which is hustle is for people who don't know how to flow. I don't think anybody who is really hardcore hustling in life would actually want to do it if they knew how to flow. Right? Because flow is the ease, joy, and flow, right? It's the ease, it's the joy, and it's the flow. And if you can get to every result that you have ever wanted in that vibration and that frequency of ease, joy, and flow, who would not want that? You would have to be insane that you wanted it nose to the grindstone, push, push, push. Minute you take your foot off the gas, everything slows down. When you're in the flow, well, you can be that leaf on the river, right? And you can flow to your results. And so it was very interesting interviewing all of these millionaires, because I can smell hustle from like 50 paces. And it's been actually one of my hardest things inside growing my own business and finding mentors, because there's a lot of mentors that present the kind of like flow. And what I call it is a spiritual spackle. So they've got divine masculine energy with a thin layer of feminine energy spackled on top. But actually, when you get into the main teachings of these people, it's hustle. And I had no desire to go back to that way of living, to that life, just as you have no desire of going back there. You've been there, done that, worn the t-shirt, bought the DVD, probably had to take a big chunk of your life out to recover from it. You know, we don't want to go there again. So for me, it's about learning how to lean deeply into divine feminine energetics, which is a very different, and it's actually quite a fun thing to explore, because if we look at women in business, for instance, a lot of women in business, especially around the 80s, when we started to see the rise of really powerful women in business, although there's always been powerful women in business, but very powerful women in business began to rise in the 80s. But they were doing it in a very masculine way. They were even dressing in a very masculine way with the big shoulder pads and everything like that. And they were having to work harder to make it in a man's world, right? So women in business, what does divine feminine business actually look like? It's a really juicy question, because I feel like so many of us, we're only just really starting to scratch the surface on what it actually looks and feels like. When I don't feel like for women that arena is maybe clearly defined yet, as clearly defined as what it looks like in masculine energy. But I think in feminine energy, we're starting to see a very much softer entrepreneur, a very more community entrepreneur rising now, which is music to my ears. It's amazing. And also as well, an entrepreneur that is thinking about much more in the bigger picture, like environment and the wellness of their employees and people. And there's this bigger kind of picture entrepreneurship going on, and what is the long-term benefits of our products, and what is the long-term impact of our products to the environment and things like that. And I think it's a much more conscious entrepreneur rising now, which I'm really all about, and I'm excited for that. So the divine feminine energy, we can define that as the being. So everybody has masculine and feminine energy. It doesn't matter how they identify sexually or how they identify in their gender, right? Everybody will have an aspect of feminine energy and masculine energy. Even if you identify as non-binary, you'll still have these aspects within you. So the feminine energy is an inner energy. The feminine energy is the being. And the masculine energy is an outer energy, and it is the doing. My doing would always dictate my being, which equaled hustle. Right? Now, my feminine energy, my being, dictates my doing. It's a different vibe.
Yes.
So we're checking inwards first. Am I in integrity? Am I in alignment? Does this feel good? Can I hold the energy? All of those things. And then that dictates what we're going to do in the outer world to move the needle.
Got it. So it's also about the allowing and attracting rather than the going out and hunting.
Yes, absolutely. So the masculine energy is about getting. The divine feminine energy is about allowing. So it's not that you get abundance. That's another fallacy. The fallacy is, well, you can get abundance, but you're going to be in the hustle energy. But if you allow abundance, totally different vibe, and you can feel it in your body, how your body will actually shift from those two energies. Like, I'm going to go and get me some abundance. I'm going to go and get me $1 million. You can immediately feel how your energy starts looking and searching, thinking, questioning, all the things. When you lean in and say, well, I'm going to allow this being that is me to receive $1 million, the energy comes down. It's not so fight or flight. It comes down. You begin to relax. Your body goes, oh, okay, no pressure to do. Right. Yeah. And then what happens is, from that energy, you can act on divine inspiration. So when you feel inspired. Now, what happens when you feel inspired and you're acting on inspiration instead is that action tends to be 1,000,000 times more potent than you out there hustling, working only from your human energy. So when you're working in the divine feminine, you're working really in a co-creative energy. You are the co-creation. You are co-creating with the universe.
Beautiful.
And your divine feminine energy is literally dictating what action you're going to take in the physical, real world. And that makes all the difference. Like, wow. All the difference. And that's how you quit the hustle. That's how you move beyond the hustle.
Yeah, this is what it is to surrender, right? It's just that, just dropping into that feminine
Absolutely. And I had the biggest problem with surrender. Surrender and me were not friends for a very, very long time. I was very much of like the Winston Churchill, I will fight you on the beaches. I will fight you in the fields. I was very much like, you will not take me alive. I will not surrender. This idea of surrendering. And it wasn't until Skylar said to me, but what are you surrendering to? And I'd never asked that question. I was like, what? And it's like, yeah, you're so resistant to surrender, but have you ever thought what you're surrendering to? And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I was so ready for the fight. You will not take me alive. And so then when Skylar said, well, what are you surrendering to? And I realized that it was such a juicy question. And for me, what I realized was that I was surrendering to the larger part of me, which is the universe. The part of me that is all-knowing and all-seeing and literally has the freaking plan. That's the part that I'm surrendering to. That made surrender easy. I went from being in complete resistance to surrender to being like, oh, snap. Let me just go and get a juice and sit my tush down and let you just do your thing, universe. Right? It's like, am I just going to take a little break while you do the work? And that was the key. And so one of the things that really unlocked that for me was another thing that Skylar said, which is your wanting is the universe's wanting. And what that means is the moment you desire something, the moment that you want something for yourself, the universe wants it for you too. And so you never have to question, which direction is the river going in? Because my fear of being in the river of life, being that leaf, was that that river was going to take me in a bad neighborhood. It was going to go down a path I didn't want to go down. I wasn't wanting to be party off or part off. Realizing that my wanting is the universe's wanting. So the minute that I want something, the minute that I desire something, the universe desires it for me too, and desires to flow me there. The only thing that is stopping me from being in the flow is my own resistance.
Yes, that's brilliant. I heard you mention that you are writing a new book about Skylar's teachings, 365 Days of Skylar's Teachings. That book sounds really juicy. I'm very excited about it.
Well, actually, at the moment, we're in negotiations with a publishing company who are looking to help me make that book a reality. It has been so joyful and so soulful to write. I'm actually savoring the process because I was very gung-ho to start with, but as the weeks have gone by and I'm getting closer and closer to the goal of the 365 teachings, I don't really want them to end because I'm enjoying going through all of the teachings again. Skylar have literally pulled through me an entire mystery school. We're talking the Hermetic style mystery schools of many, many hundreds of thousands of years ago, and an entire process that we call unity consciousness, which is you as a unified being of source energy while in human form. In writing this book, all the lessons are these beautiful, incredible reminders of these incredible journeys that I've been on. The first really recognizable journey of Get Selfish, and then I went on to have another journey that I call Be Your Own Rescue, which is really learning financial independence for myself and really learning to be the person that generates financial abundance for me and my family, and learning to really stand and embody that power. And then the journey that I'm on at the moment, which is the journey of really truly thriving in life, which is what we're calling my Thrive journey. Throughout all of those journeys, Skylar has been there and giving this incredible universal wisdom and sublime wisdom. The book is really designed to be very accessible each day. So if you want to read it cover to cover for a whole year, you can, or you can use it like an oracle and open it to a little message for that day or something that you need. So Skylar's lessons are very short and sweet. And then underneath each lesson is my insight of either how I've worked with that insight, what that insight means to me, or how a client, because sometimes these insights come through when I'm channeling for clients. So how that has worked for clients and what the insight is for clients, and how they worked with it and what it's meant to them and how it's transformed their lives. And so there's these beautiful little windows. So each one of Skylar's teachings, I always think that Skylar's teachings are these incredible seeds for your soul. And they grow into these huge shifts in your consciousness. And so it is really a book of these beautiful seeds that will hopefully grow and bloom inside the people who read it into glorious new ways of thinking and openness and wholehearted living and connection with source. So yeah, it feels like a real cornerstone piece of content that I'm creating at the moment, but I'm really, really savoring the process because there's just so much my heart and soul in this. These teachings that I'm sharing from Skylar have completely and utterly transformed my life, have given me the ringside seat to watching and witnessing my clients transform their lives, go from very difficult situations, very hard situations and challenges that maybe some of my clients have faced, and morphing and watching them shapeshift into these incredible humans that were already there from the start, but all the debris comes off them and they start to shine and they start to share their wisdom and their knowledge with the world. And it's so beautiful to witness. And I know that this book is going to be a very, very special book.
I can hear that. It's going to be a New York Times bestseller for sure. It sounds like it's just going to be amazing. I can't wait for that book to come out.
That's amazing. We're just waiting for contracts before I can officially announce who they are. And we've got a beautiful card deck project with them as well that we're working on. And they're going to be helping us to really bring a lot of Skylar's beautiful messaging and teachings and our teachings out into the world. So it's going to be amazing.
You know what I love about everything you've said? You've spoken a lot about the ripple effect in many of your videos. You spoke about the one girl, Katie, who joined an Amazon bestseller group where they all wrote parts of the book, and now she has created 50 other Amazon best-selling authors. I absolutely love that ripple effect. That is amazing.
This is the magic of operating from a full container, is that you have no idea where all of those ripples will ripple out and end. And this is the power of really showing up in the world on your A game and being in a place where you are in total integrity with yourself first and foremost, so that it's much easier to be in integrity with the world around you. And Katie's just one of these incredible examples. What I love about Katie's story, and obviously it's her story to share, and she has the Soulful Valley podcast as well that she shares. But when I think about all the things that have unfolded in Katie's world, just through the two of us kind of working together and mentoring her, it's just absolutely unbelievable. So Katie will tell you herself that she is registered disabled. I remember her once saying this thing that for all intents and purposes, I was on the scrap heap of life. I wasn't really that employable. I had very up and down health, like so much I've mirrored of my own journey, feeling that feelings of who's going to give me a job when I can't even guarantee I'm going to be in work next week. And I totally empathized with her story. So now and again, I do these workshops where it's pay what you want. So I done a pay what you want workshop, and she said, you know, I paid you $11.11 because that was literally all of that I had that I could, and it felt like a good number. And it was an angel workshop, and she said, I loved it. And that was my introduction to your world. And I really, really loved it. And I appreciated you so much for the fact that you were able to do this. And I was able to say yes. So I love that. And that was really cool. And then she said, of course, when you put the $1 million, I was in. When I discovered that you had an affiliate program, I was like, oh my God, I'm in. So she began sharing it, and she actually earned quite a lot of money with us. In fact, we ended up paying her way more than what she had invested, which was fantastic. And that makes me super happy because she's shared me so much and everything and brought me lots of wonderful new people into my world and things like that. So I love it when people win in my world. So we were already off to a good start, and the experiment hadn't even started yet. And then as the experiment started to unfold, Kate started really aligning with the teachings and really realizing we got to do something different in things. And Katie then jumped into a couple of my other bigger containers where I do my lifetime access programs and my larger business container and things like that. And she'd wanted to do a business, and I'd heard Katie's story, and I understood that the energy thing was an issue. And it was actually on a live stream, and I was doing channeling on a live stream. And she asked this question. I've got a few different directions I can go in. What does Skylar think? What's a good direction? What's Skylar saying about this? And so I said, okay, well, give me the A, B, and C, right? Give me the avenues. So she gave me the avenues, and one of the avenues was a podcast. And I remember kind of like sending it up to source and hearing Skylar very clearly say, tell her to do the podcast. And I remember thinking, oh, gee, like, how's that going to make her money, you know? But like, it was what came through. So I just give, like, I am the messenger. So I'll just give what I get. So I said to her, you're to do the podcast. And so she was like, oh, well, it feels really good. But she was in the same mindset as me. How's that going to make me? And, you know, but she trusted. And it felt good for her, and she was in alignment with it, and it felt good with her. And she began, and her podcast ended up in the top 0.05% of most listened to podcasts in the world. So her podcast regularly charts at number one, and it's been an incredible journey. Like that alone So the podcast, I think, started to give her probably a real sense of self again and value. And she was providing this amazing value and stuff. And obviously interviewing a lot of really interesting people. And she's had some really, really big names on her podcast, which is exciting. And it's been a really beautiful journey to witness that all unfolding for her. And then she had used the money from the $1 million experiment to invest in her first multi-author book, which somebody else was running. And so she wrote her chapter and she became an Amazon bestseller. And then she was like, hey, I really like this. I wonder if I can create something like this because I've got a lot of topics. And in one of our classes that she was part of, in one of my paid for programs, she had received a download for 3 titles for 3 books, which are now all Amazon bestsellers. So we have seen that from the seed of the idea to it actually being the thing, which is crazy. So one of her latest books actually wrote the foreword for that. So Evolving on Purpose, which is such a juicy title. And again, it went Amazon bestseller. She's literally just released a soulful poems book, which went Amazon bestseller, that has multiple authors, and many amazing authors from my community have joined in on that project as well, which is really, really cool. So yeah, it's just amazing to see somebody like that being able to work with in her disability as well. And you know, she has fibromyalgia, and there is good days and bad days with things like that, and we are so very proud of what she's, and that's just one of the ripple effects. And now to date, well, it was 55 authors, but she's just done the Soulful Poems book. So I actually think the number is much bigger now of how many people have become an Amazon bestseller through Katie and Soulful Valley Publishing. So that's amazing. But, you know, I recently had a retreat at my home, and out of the ladies that were there at the retreat, 3 of them had come through the $1 million experiment. That's how they had found me. Somebody had shared a link, and listening to those ladies' stories of the transformation that had happened just from going through the $1 million experiment was just insane. One of the ladies said, I never ever thought that people like me became millionaires. And she says, now I know without a shadow of a doubt, it's literally just a matter of time before I do it. And I've allowed myself to dream big now. And she sells flower seeds. Wow. And she had a £1.99 for a packet of flower seeds. And she sells flower seeds, and she had a £37,000 month.
Wow.
Year, month.
Incredible.
And she's had this incredible growth, and her mindset is changing and shifting. One of our other ladies was a farmer who actually lives just up north from me. She had come in very late in the experiment, seen the experiment, was like, oh, this is for me. Jumped on it as soon as somebody had told her about it. Somebody shared it. And she thought, why not? $25, I'll give it a whirl. And she jumped in. And she immediately thought, oh my God, $1 million, like, no way. That was her first kind of thought. But she's like, if I can make £32,000 this year, I'd be so happy. And some of these stories I'd never heard before because they were in my home and telling me about what had happened to them. And I was so blown away. And she said, well, I set the goal of 32,000. I thought if I did that year, I'd be like really, really happy. And she goes, well, I didn't hit my goal because I doubled it. I did 64,000 that year. And the feeling I got when she told me that she had done 64,000 was like, that would probably feel like $1 million year, like equal to $1 million year. Because if you enter that container in the mindset that 32 would be great, and then you double that. And again, she said, you know what? It's just a matter of time before we do the million. It's coming. I'm just getting ready to be ready for that. And it's amazing to see. And she joined my business program, and it's just been incredible to be on her journey. She's launched an emergency planner for farmers. which is such a genius idea, right? Because could you imagine if something happened to the farmer of the farm? And then what do? Right? The emergency planner has everything. Here's how the farm runs. Here's how all the things, it has all the things. And because she's a farmer herself, she has not left one thing out of that. Then she's
Brilliant.
also started her first online course to help farmers earn more money in their farms. So she's on fire right now. It is
Love
so
this.
exciting to hear her updates and things. And then another lady that was at the retreat, her story was just so heartwarming. She had joined the experiment in probably one of the worst places in her adult life. Her relationship had just recently broken down and she found herself a single mama and like, I need to really think about my life choices and what I'm going to do. And for her, the $25 was like, let me think about this. Shall I really do this? She had to really think, is this an investment I want to make? And I totally respect that because there was a time in my life where $25 was like, let me think about that, you know? But she joined and she said that it really, really helped her so much during that difficult time. And it helped her mindset so much. And that she's absolutely 100% convinced that she will become a seven-figure entrepreneur. And I know in my heart that she will do it because she has the belief there in her system. The belief is there. And that's half the battle because most of us are attempting things that we don't even believe in, which makes us out of integrity with it. Right. But these ladies have gone from, no, millionaires, that's for people out there, to like, no, it's people just like me that do it. And that's a huge shift in consciousness and should be celebrated, that these extraordinary women have taken these extraordinary shifts in their consciousness. And that's one of the things that I love about being in the community, because if you say that in what I call the regular muggle world, right, people are like, who do you think you are? But if you say that inside one of my communities, people are like, you go, girl. And this is what we need. We need to be surrounded by the crazies, right?
Uh, um,
We can't be sat there having the naysayers and the people police and the wah, 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 wah. We can't have that, because that is going to burst your bubble every time that you try and attempt to put yourself out there. You need people around you that are like, yeah, that's doable. Yeah, that's possible. That's
yeah.
what creates the magic.
Yeah, you're so right. I've been dealing with my own little devil on the shoulder saying to me, who are you to make a million? Especially in South Africa. You can tell that lady who made £64,000, that she's a millionaire in South African terms. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I also am having those feelings. And what I've been thinking, the story that's been coming up for me is, I remember this amazing story that Les Brown spoke about or told about the bamboo shoot. You know how the bamboo plant is one of the plants that is the fastest growing, but it could take about 10 years before you see anything. So it's growing its roots underground first. And then as it starts to grow out of the ground, it can grow something like 20 feet in a month and 100 feet in a year. And so you have this huge bamboo tree growing. And I'm going to be that. I've been growing my roots for all this time. I'm believing that that is me. I am the bamboo tree. And next year is my $1 million year. That's it. Or €1 million or £1 million or whatever it is, but I'm going to do it. Everything that's been happening under the surface, no one can really see, but there's
Yeah.
going to be changes next year that people will see. And I'm really excited about that, because getting a little bit impatient that I'm not making money. It's been a while.
I love that. And I'll give you something that I think is really potent here. I love your declaration that next year will be my seven-figure year, because what I have discovered is that if people can't own their goals in the energy of the goals, they have no business owning the goals in the reality of them. So many people who desire seven figures would never tell another single soul. Throw away the key. Don't tell anyone, right? They're not owning the energy.
Mm.
And if you can't even own the energy of like, hey, this is a desire of mine, then what business do they have owning the reality of it? And that's not me that's making those rules. What that is the universe is like, well, girl, you can't even confess you want it in the reality. So I'm not that inclined to deliver it to you in the reality, you know? You can't even own the reality that you have a dream for that. And so there is power and potency in speaking it into being and saying, I desire this. I'm going to go for this. And the second thing that I think was really, really helpful for me was in my $1 million year, I began speaking it into being. I started that year, I had no idea how I would do it. You know, I really started that year, no idea, no clue. I had many avenues that in which it could happen through, but I had no idea which avenue was going to be the one that was going to lead to the $1 million year. And so I began just owning it and speaking it into being and saying it. And the other thing I did was I took away the fear of, well, what if I didn't do it? And I was like, well, I'm not giving up. So if it's not this year, it'll be next year or the next year or the next year. I don't care. This is getting done. And when I got into that kind of frame of mind of it is going to come through me, and it is just a matter of time. It is not a if it comes through me, it is when it comes through me. And knowing that when it comes through me, I will be so ready for it. And so instead, what I did was I just shifted my consciousness, and instead of how will I do it to how can I be ready for this different vibe again.
Wow.
And began to really shift it.
That is amazing. Wow. You have given such gold. This has been the most amazing interview. Thank you so, so much. Is there anything you'd like to leave the guests with?
If you've really enjoyed this conversation, make sure that you give this post or podcast a little like and a follow. And I hope to see you on the journey. Click Lauren's link and bless Lauren with an affiliate payment and come and enjoy the journey and come on the journey with us. You can watch us while we do the $1 million year, or you can join us and you decide which is more fun for you, right? Watching or joining, it's up to you. You can decide.
Thank you. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much. It's been so amazing talking to you, and I really appreciate your time and everything you've put out, your books, your experiments.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Heal and in $1 million. Let's do this.
Let's do this. So exciting. Thank you so much for coming into my world. And I'm so glad to be a part of your world now as well. Thank you. And have an amazing day. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you.